Recording rocks.
Hello, everyone. We are back again. We are back again for another session of Mellow Musings. Mellow Musings. Doesn't that sound nice and mellow and comfortable and warm? Yeah, we've been doing these Mellow Musings not for very long, but mellow has been around for very long. And what is mellow? Well, I'm sure Alka on the screen does not know, and maybe Sujata also does not know. Mellow, I'll tell you about mellow. So the story of Mellow begins in 1997 when we put together a society called the Multi-Ethnic Literatures of the United States. We started with the United States, but then we expanded in a few years. Within 7, 8 years, we were the Society for the Study of the Literatures of the World, right? Mellow. And since then, since 1997, we have been meeting regularly over international conferences and over other academic endeavors. So, till date, we've had 25 conferences, and the 26th International Conference is going to be held very soon in September in Dharamshala, and our host has just logged in a little while ago. So, this is Mellow, and I am Manju Jaidka. Most of you who are logged in know me. The rest of you will get to know me by and by, I'm sure. So this is Mellow, and we have, apart from conferences, we do a lot of other things. We bring out a journal, we give some kind of a mentoring or a grooming or, well, just a chiseling to our young scholars who are all doing very well because we give them a platform where they can interact with senior people and learn the tricks of the trade. So they do very well, and we love seeing them go places. They're doing much better than people like us who started it. Right. And in January, when I was fully retired as such, I decided why don't we go online also because ye dil mange more. So we always want more and more activity, more interaction. We want to connect with people more. And so I decided we must have some online sessions. Online sessions is something that we started during the COVID period. And Alka would know because she's seen some of our sessions then. They were very good. They really went far. And COVID times, everybody was waiting for some kind of interaction with the outside world. So that time they were really popular. We did that for about 3.5 years. And since then, sporadically. And now we've started on a regular basis. So this is the This is another edition of Mellow Musings. And today we have a writer in our midst. So meet the writer Sujata Rampal. So we have Sujata Rampal out here. And in conversation with Sujata Rampal, I will be there along with my friend and former colleague, Alka Kansra. Alka Kansra is a former professor of chemistry, right? Hmm? Chemistry, am I
Yeah,
right? Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
So I find that all the brilliant people are in chemistry, but they have a good chemistry with other people also. Huh?
Yes,
So thank you, Alka, for being with us. And
my
Sujata, let
pleasure.
me just introduce her a little bit in detail. She's an author, we know that, freelance writer and TEDx speaker. And for a decade and a half, she worked as the head of corporate communications of an IT MNC before she decided to just follow her passion of writing. She has authored 3 books so far, and there are many more to come, many of them waiting in the wings, waiting round the corner. Some of her titles are The Other End of the Corridor, and this is a fiction on domestic violence. Yeah. So domestic violence can be fiction. We've heard of it being a reality and a terrible reality that we don't want to have anything to do about. But you can write about it and bring it to the notice of other people so that once we are aware of this evil, we can do something about it. So we have this book, The Other End of the Corridor, which is on domestic violence. The Life I Saw is non-fiction. It is the biography of a refugee, partition refugee. Lovely cover, Sujata. Really nice, huh? Yeah. And Things Left Unsaid. And this Things Left Unsaid, this is the latest collection of short stories. She studied in Chandigarh in Sector 11. She holds a degree in mass communication. And she's also done MPhil in economics from Punjab University, Chandigarh. So welcome, Sujata. It's so good to have you here. We like to have people who have done something, people who have interesting personalities and who can engage with us in a lively conversation. So we are looking forward to this conversation too. And
Thank you.
Alka is here. Alka, even though she's been a chemistry teacher dealing with chemicals and test tubes
Yeah,
and all the things that we literature people don't know about,
yes.
she underwent a complete makeover once she hung up her boots, her professional boots, and she started writing. And now, any literary event in Chandigarh, and you're sure to bump into Madam Alka Kansra. Yeah, Alka, that's
Thank
great.
you.
Very few
Mhm.
people can do such a complete transformation. You've done a great job. So Alka is here
Thank you,
and she's
Manju.
very sporting. She's agreed to join us and engage in the conversation. We are going to talk about Sujata. We'll be in conversation with you, and from time to time, Alka and I will maybe bounce off some questions which you may want to
Sure,
answer. But let
sure.
us begin with some kind of an introduction from your side. Meaning, I've read that little one paragraph that I had with me. But if you would like to say something for our audience, and right now we have some who are logged in, but this is being recorded. This is being recorded and it will be put up on YouTube and it will be shared on all social media, right? So you will go down in posterity. Yeah. Mm.
Thank
Okay.
you.
So would you like to say anything to our
Yes,
listeners, Sujata?
yes. Thank you. First, thank you, Manjuji, for this opportunity. It's really an honor and privilege to be here at one of the sessions of Mellow Musing.
Okay.
And this is, and thanks for a very kind introduction. This is my third book, recently released. It's a collection of 14 short stories, and its titled Things Left Unsaid. So when I thought of this title initially, I was not very sure whether this is an apt title, but as I
The title really attracts you and you
appropriate,
wonder what the title is about. And when you
yeah,
start reading the stories, you realize that the title is so appropriate, not just to one story, to all the stories from the beginning to the end. And honestly, everyone can't do it. I can't do it. Huh? If I have a certain title in mind or a certain theme in mind, I probably would not be able to write, a dozen stories on the
around that.
same in the same manner. But let's go back to Sujata. Yes, Sujata, actually we
Yes.
missed you a little. We missed a little bit
Okay.
in between. Huh?
Okay. Is it okay now? Am I audible,
Yeah,
clear?
yeah,
Okay.
perfect.
So things left unsaid. It is about their 14 short stories on emotions, various kind of emotions of love, loss, betrayal, and various other emotions. But everything that we all have emotions, men as well as women, but everything is not expressed. Everything cannot be expressed. Either we are not articulate enough to express our thoughts, or we are shy, or there is social conditioning. There are expectations from family, from society, that we should not talk about this. Like in the case of domestic violence, not many people come forward and say, okay, this happened with me, because there is social
Yeah.
conditioning that we should not be talking about these things, and talking
Mhm.
about heartbreaks. We don't do so. These are all the stories revolve around the emotions that we don't express. But it doesn't mean that if we don't express emotions, these emotions, they just vanish. They die down. They don't vanish. They simmer in our hearts, in our heads, and ultimately shape our relationship with others, and shape our relationship with ourselves. So in a way, how our life will be going forward, it is determined by these unsaid and unexpressed emotions. They will say that silence speak volumes, but it is not the silence, just it's the inside emotions. They have a lot of pressure on our head. So this is what the title of this book states.
Alka, do you have anything to say about the title of the book, and would you like her
Yes,
to expand a little more?
yes, it's a very appropriate title because initially, when I started reading the stories, right from the first story onwards, I realized it is about the unsaid feelings. And at two stages, right, you can divide them into two types. One is between relationships. When you don't convey certain things, you don't talk about certain things, you lose those relationships, or the relationships go a bit sour and you don't enjoy those relationships. The distance comes in the relationships. The second one is at the society level, like she mentioned about domestic violence, then similarly like the sexual abuse about the women
Yes,
when they are working in offices at various places. There may be not exactly sexual abuse, but there may be small
Harassment.
touches, small gestures which the woman don't like it at all. So she is
Mhm.
touched upon at both the levels, at the personal level as well as the society level. We are not talking about these things, so at obviously the woman becomes choked, or the person who's affected by those issues, they are choked in the society. So that way, in all the stories in the book, right, at least in the first 12 stories and even in the COVID stories in the end, we find that these emotions are definitely there about which we are not talking. So it's most appropriate things left unsaid.
yeah.
I
So
really like this
Sujata,
rightly,
part.
mhm.
yes, rightly say
Sujata,
what we, yeah. Please go
you
ahead.
studied mass communication, you studied economics, but did you
Yeah.
also study psychology? Because I find that you go into the minds of your characters. How do you manage to do that?
Actually, I had studied psychology in college, but when I became a full-time writer, then I had that psychology had become totally history. I don't remember ABC of psychology now. But as if there are any authors here, and of course you would also agree that when we write, we get into the head of the character. We get into the mind of the character, and you start looking things from the perspective of the other person or other character. And that's how I think writers write, that you have to see what other person feels.
I have a question related to this. Huh?
Yes, please.
You get into the minds of the writer, huh?
Yeah.
Of the character, but do you ever get into the mind of a negative character? Because if you get into the mind of a negative character, normally we are very critical of people who are bad, who are evil.
Yeah.
Huh? Do
Yeah.
you ever
Yeah.
do that? And if you do that, how do you portray that person? Sympathetically or, with anger?
Actually, I feel in life as well as in fiction, there is nothing black and white. We all have shades of gray. We
Yeah.
love something and we love a person, but simultaneously we have some things which we don't like about the person, or we hate those things about a person. It could be family, it could be friends, anything. So, you have to think like, okay, if there's a negative character, how would a negative character think? Because even the character is negative for one person, that character may not be negative for another person. So
Yes.
whatever the feelings, positive or negative, even like you see criminals, there are also studies on how criminals, rapists, how do they think? What goes on into their head? Of course, they have a logic. If somebody cheats, the person has a logic, reasoning in his or her mind. The person doesn't say, "Oh, I'm cheating because I'm a cheater. I'm doing this and that because I'm a bad person." That person is bad person for somebody else, but for the person himself or herself, that's the reasoning. So we all have reasoning for whatever we do. So that's how I think most writers would do, get
Then
into the.
tell me,
Yeah,
you don't feel like somebody you don't like, huh? You find that person interesting because there's some eccentricity, even though you
yeah,
don't like that person. Aren't
yeah.
you tempted to caricature, to do a caricature or to satirize that person? क्योंकि मुझे तो बहुत मजा आता है किसी को ना caricature करने का.
Yeah, of course I do many times. And if people are not nice to me, I mean, sometimes I say, okay, you're not nice to me. I'm just going to make a note of everything that you said or you did, because you can be a very interesting character for my story. See, in life, we want people who are very nice to us. They are passionate, they are compassionate and kind and loving but when we read stories, we don't want goody people. We want people who have shades of gray, who are not so nice,
Yes.
who are eccentric. So if somebody is eccentric, it's very sure that the person will find some role in my in
In
one
your
of the
story.
stories.
You
Yeah,
know, that reminds me that, it's always the negative character who's more interesting. And
yeah,
once upon a time, when we were studying Paradise Lost by Milton, there was a critic who said that Milton, even though he's writing a poem about God and about the forbidden fruit and so on, he is more
yeah,
sympathetic towards Satan than he is towards God,
yeah,
because Satan
yeah.
is a
God.
more interesting character. So
True.
generally, it is the evil character that attracts
That
us more. And even if you have to say spend some time reading about someone, would you like to read about a goody sadhu sant or someone, or would you like to read about somebody naughty, somebody who
yes.
does a lot of things that
Yeah.
society doesn't approve of? What would you like to read
Yeah,
about?
see, it happens even in the, you say, common man. When we read the newspaper, we read immediately there's some negative news. We immediately first read that and then positive news. Even on TV, you see media person, anybody who is doing good. Okay, he's just featured once, but there is somebody who is a
Yeah.
criminal or somebody, that person is featured again and again, again and again. So maybe our mind works toward that. We are more attracted towards negativity.
Because goody people are very boring, am I right?
Yeah, but in
What do you
real,
say,
we
Alka?
want, yeah,
I
What do you
think
say,
you can't
Alka?
enjoy a dessert all the time. You need the savory also. So if we keep on having dessert all the time, then obviously it's going to be very, very
boring.
boring. And
Yes,
those people who are very straight, they don't have many stories to tell in their life.
true.
People with shades of gray always end up having or involved in more number of stories around them. You can build up easily around them.
Right.
So, Sujata, you have been
Yes.
writing short stories, and before that, you wrote about domestic violence. These are all ideas taken from real life. Am I right?
Most of it.
Hmm? All
Most
these
of
are
it
ideas
is,
taken from
yeah,
real life. Yeah.
inspired by real life, something that I have observed, something that has happened with me, or I have seen on TV or I've heard from somewhere. It's not that the entire story has been taken from somewhere, or it's about someone's life. It's just that, for authors, it is just one statement by somebody, or just one incident, or one reflection.
Mhm.
Then then you give wings to your imagination and the whole story. There's one story which is the loss. here. Here in this story, a child. This is a story of a child, and the parents have a fight, and in that the mother dies, and the child is blaming his father. So this story, I picked it up from a real life. My younger son, he was, in school, he was 8 years old. So once his classmates' mother committed suicide because the parents had a fight. So my son, every day he used to come and tell me that that child didn't eat his lunch, he doesn't talk to anybody, he doesn't come for the games period. So I started getting into the head of that child, that what he must be thinking. So, that story is based on that incident. But even other things like incompatibility and 2 scoops of chocolate mousse, which is about body shaming, the things we hear all the time or we read. And, that's how the stories take birth.
They say that the writer locks himself or herself in an ivory tower in order to write. But the way you are explaining, it seems that the writer cannot be closeted in an ivory tower or in a cocoon. The writer must go out into the world and interact with people. What do you say about that?
Yes, absolutely. Otherwise, from where do you get ideas? Because your fiction has to reflect reality. If you cut off yourself from reality, real life, if you stop meeting people, stop meeting friends, then how do you get ideas? And their ideas, the story is not just for entertainment. There are so many things happening in our society which writers write to not just influence, but influence the readers, or to have their contribution to society. So you have to, in fact, when I was working full time, which was 10 years ago, then I was not very social, because the entire day I'm at work and coming home at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. But after I left my job, then I have started socializing more, because I want to have interaction with people to understand society, to understand people. Then only writers can write. Otherwise, it will be all fiction.
And I think this is the way you learn psychology also.
Yes.
This is the way you learn the psychology of the people also. Once you interact with them, then you learn what is the psychology behind a particular incident. Once you talk to them, why this happened and how they reacted, it's easier to build upon the story then.
Yes, that is true. That's how we understand people also. And writing, when we write, because it has been taught to us that we should get into the head of the character. So we start looking at things from other person's perspective, and many times we feel that I am saying that this is right because that's how my thought process is. But the other character or the other person, maybe his or her thought process is different.
You have to empathize. You have to empathize.
You have to empathize.
But on one point, I may not be in agreement with you when you say that you gave up your job and you started socializing more and you understood people better. But because I feel that it might pass on the wrong kind of message to the youngsters who may have logged in now. Because where do you gain experience of the world from? You gain it when you go out and you are part of a particular society, an office or an institution. You meet other people, you are growing, you're interacting, you fight with them, you make friends with them, and you learn how to find your way in the world. And that is how, and that is what goes into your work when you start to write.
Yes,
so
exactly.
that is also important.
So I would definitely not recommend that people should leave their day job and they become full-time writer. Definitely, I will not recommend that, and it doesn't work for everybody. So it is always better if there are so many writers who have their day job and then they write. I think that works out so much better, because you get, as you rightly said, Manjuji, that you interact with people, you understand society so much more. When you are working in an organization, you understand about conflict, you understand that how people behave, how people react. So I mean, though it's in my case, I feel it's a good decision, but but I don't recommend for youngster. I think you should
Oh,
have
but you gave
both.
up your job after a long time.
After a
Huh?
long time. I worked for
After
13
you
years.
had experience, after you had
Yes.
experienced, something of corporate life, of
Yeah.
professional life.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
that is
Yes.
very important,
Yes.
because
True.
sometimes you come across youngsters who say, "Oh, I want to be a writer. I don't want to pick up a job. I just want to be a writer." And then I tell them, "But what are you going to write about?
Yeah.
You
Yes.
need to go through life. You need to go
True.
through the highs and the lows in
Of
order to
course.
write, in order to be a complete human being."
Yes, that's very, very important because my father was also a writer, and he used to say when I told him that I want to write a book, then he's saying, "You have a very pampered life. What can you write?" So, we understand that, if you have not experienced any conflict in your life, how would you write? So, in an organization, when you work, you experience conflict. You see so many other relations, and then you write. So, I think it is very important that we have this life and this life together.
What do you say about this, Alka? Because in one of
Yeah,
the
but
Bollywood movies, a guy
Yeah,
is told that जब तक तेरा दिल नहीं टूटेगा तू कविता कैसे लिखेगा? Well, what do you say
exactly.
about it?
नहीं वो कोई जरूरी नहीं है. Though it's the cliche saying all the time that पहले दिल टूटेगा फिर आप लिखोगे. Not at
Yeah.
least not in my case, but still I think moving out it definitely helps because you see
Yes.
other people around you, unka dil toota tha, you start writing, you feel the pain of the other people, and then also you can write down. And when you said about socializing, I think when you're working in an organization, it's a different type of socializing
It's a different
because
type.
you make a group of friends, you visit them, you meet their families, and then the social gatherings, the corporates they have in the evening, you meet people and you meet the clients and all sorts of people over there. So I think for any person, it's very,
Hmm.
very important to enter into a career or be social, move into the
Yeah,
society so that you know about the other people. Then you can
exactly.
become a writer. And another
Exactly.
thing I feel is like Manju said, I tell the youngsters, I think writing doesn't pay you much these days unless and until you become very good writer. So you have to earn your
Yeah.
bread and butter. Also, it's always better to be into a career, learn things, and then start writing and polish yourself.
Yeah, exactly. See, when I left my job, my friends used to say, "Now you become a writer, so you don't need money." I said, "Oh, no, that's the wrong thing. Writers don't earn
You know,
money." It
the
in the
staple
beginning.
image of a the staple image of a writer is a
Jhola.
Ah,
jhola carrying,
Yes.
simply
exactly.
dressed person,
Yes.
because
Exactly.
there's no money in it. In fact, if you're a
Exactly.
Yes.
writer, you end up spending your own money to get your
Own
book
money.
published, and you
Yeah,
feel that
Yes.
the book has validated your existence somehow.
Exactly.
exactly. Exactly. We only
Yeah.
writers can understand this.
So it's better to
Mhm.
be in a job and then
Yes.
keep writing along with that.
Yes.
रोटी
Yeah.
पानी तो चलता रहेगा ना?
बिल्कुल, बिल्कुल.
बिल्कुल.
बहुत
Then,
important है.
like you did it after a particular time and you have enough in your bank, then you can give up
Yeah.
that also and
Yes.
become a full-time writer. And
Right.
your skills have already been honed.
True.
That is also there.
Hmm.
What kind of what genre do you like best, Sujata? The short form or the long form? Or do you think you'll turn to poetry?
Actually,
What are your views on this?
no, I think poetry, I find it very difficult to write because I think it's the most difficult thing to write. But I like both. I have written both in short form and long form, and both have their own challenges. So but for me, I feel what happens that when I start writing, it just go on, go on, go on. For me, it's difficult to stop. But it happens that in a short story, you have to, like in 2000 or 3000 words, you have to write the entire thing, and you
Mhm.
will be writing about only one aspect of somebody's personality or one theme. You can't be write everything. There is only one main character, and you cannot go too deep into emotions. So that's in the short stories. Whereas in a novel or long form, you can just go on writing. There are plots, there's a subplots, and various themes.
Yeah.
So it is both have challenges, but I think that I have to stop myself from writing. So probably I am more suited for long form than short form, but I enjoy both. And recently, like I think short stories are again becoming trendy for various reasons because
Yes.
people's attention span has reduced. drastically.
Mm.
Now people don't have the patience to read long novels. Just, probably they just read a Facebook post or a WhatsApp message or a short stories. And today we got that good news that Booker Prize
Yeah,
winner. That's the first time a short story has won.
short stories.
Short story collection has won a Booker Prize.
Exactly.
So this is really nice.
Really
Yeah.
heartening. Yeah, it's nice.
Yes.
We're
Very nice.
talking about attention spans and reading. I
Yeah.
was wondering what kind of support did you get from your family? Did they even read what you write? I'm asking this question because in my family, people know that I've been writing books but they haven't read them. And when my
Okay.
father used to write stories, he used to give it to me for editing and proofreading. Sometimes they used to lie for days on ends, and then he would ask, "Acha, तूने story पढ़ी?" Then I'd feel so guilty कि मैंने नहीं पढ़ी. So, what kind of support did you get from your family, and did they read what you've written?
Okay, now this is a very interesting question. One support is that I have made them one or the other character in all my books, and I have told them, "This is you. This is you." Of course, I'm
That
changing
is very
everything
nice.
about you, but this is you. And otherwise, like my elder son, he likes to listen to what I say. So when I am narrating him a plot, and if I see that he has gone off to sleep, I understand that it's not attracting anyone's attention. And
Mhm.
my younger one, he likes to read, but he's so critical of what I write that I have to think twice, before showing. So, and one interesting episode comes to my mind, that when I published my first book, and this is about women empowerment and feminist and everything. So I went somewhere and I had a book launch, and I talked about women empowerment and what happens, domestic violence and all. So and I thanked everybody who had helped me in writing the book.
Your
So
voice is
after,
dropped.
yo,
Your
can I
voice
can
is
you
dropped.
can
Yeah,
you hear
yeah.
me now? So
Yes,
I
yes.
thanked everybody who had helped me in writing the book. So one lady came to me after the event. She said, "You didn't thank your husband." My husband was in the audience. She said, "You
Mhm.
didn't thank your husband." I said, "He didn't really help me in writing. He has not even read my first book. So I thought I should thank only those people who have contributed, directly." Then she said, "No, but his contribution you cannot forget, because he allowed you to write." I said, I would, for 1 hour, I talked about women empowerment, everything. But here, somebody is saying that husband has to allow.
Yes.
So I think, I don't know where I was. So otherwise, there is a lot of support from the family. And like when I wanted to leave the job, okay, do whatever. And whether for a man or a woman, I think for any profession you are, you cannot be, you cannot succeed if you don't get support from your family. I think
Family.
family support, it's very,
Mm.
very important.
So
Yes.
they have to allow you to write.
Yes. No, I don't think they have to give a permission, but then when some things are going on, you want to write something and you want your privacy for an hour or so,
Yeah,
that the family should adjust. That is the
family should
contribution they make.
family should hear, Alka ji, I will beg to differ. Of course, family should
Huh.
expect, but we also have to say that this is my time. I don't want to be
Yeah.
disturbed. I think if you voice it out, people do understand. But
Yes.
if you
Huh.
say that, okay, I whatever family wants, my time is for the family,
Yes.
people think, oh, that is
Then
fine.
yes.
But
Huh.
if we say, if we assert, like we all have to
Yes.
be
Huh.
assertive, this is my time. Like when we have guests in the house, so I have told, when
Yes.
I have guests in the house, there is
You know,
some time.
Sujata, your voice is dropping.
Yeah.
Your
So
voice is dropping.
when we have
Yeah.
guests in the house, so I have some time. I say, okay, this 3 hours in the afternoon
Yeah,
is
it's
my
totally
time. I
gone off,
don't want to.
Sujata.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So what is my time? And everybody understands in the family that I'm not to be disturbed. So we have to
So
be
the long and short of it is that we need to have an understanding family
understanding. And
so
Exactly.
that you can write in peace. Huh?
yeah, I am
Yes.
fortunate. I have an understanding
Alkar, would you like to read any passage from her book? Meanwhile, while we are having this conversation, you can decide if you'd like to read a passage. Sujata,
Yeah,
tell
I
me,
think
what was the most difficult part of your of your venturing into this writing as a career?
What was the most difficult part?
What
Most
was the
difficult
greatest challenge?
challenge was that, of course, whether I'll be able
Your voice is dropped again.
I think
Okay.
it's a signal issue.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay. So bigger challenge was that, okay, will I get bored of just writing, or will I feel no, I want to go out and all. So that kind of challenge was there. But after some time when I started writing, I think it all fell in place.
The voice is dropping. I can't really make out what
Yeah.
you're saying. But
Okay.
Alka, would you like to read a passage?
Yeah, I would like to read. I think I would like to read the passage from the story The Park, the second story, and it is about the sexual abuse, as I mentioned before also. And many a woman, they don't convey it that strongly. And even if the woman conveys it to her family, they brush it aside that this is a small issue. Why you want to get into it? Why you want to confront your boss? So I'm reading a
So
small passage from
maybe
there.
you can read a small passage and tell us how it fits into the story.
Yeah. So this is a small passage I'm reading out. The touch of a familiar hand on my arm startles me. My grip over the mouse tightens, and I feel a tremor in my lips. The rough hand pinches my upper arm through the fabric of my sleeve, making me cringe. I look up to see Prasad standing by my chair, his hand going up and down on my arm. He had left some time ago. What brings him back? My eyes widen and my hands begin to tremble. Good to see you working hard, he says, giving me a sly smile, his hand rubbing my shoulder in a massage like manner. I say nothing, do nothing, just look at him fearfully. My hands fidget and my lips quiver. So, this is a reaction of an ordinary woman who's working in an office. Uh, and the story I really liked with the twist in it. The lady, she's got a small child, and because of some compulsions, she has to take up this job, financial compulsions. Her husband is also working, she is also working, and she's got a small child looked after by the lady help in the house. But she likes to take the child to a park in the evening, as all mothers they like to do, and the normal timings are 9 to 5. But the boss, as we could make out from the paragraph, he's not that understanding. He wants her alone most of the time. And he gives her extra work. Every day he'll give her an extra work. All the office people will go away and then he'll come, he'll touch her here, he'll touch her there and try to embarrass her. Maybe he is trying to probe her, and one fine day the thing can increase. So this woman has been tolerating. She talks to her husband. He says, "Why you want to confront? This is a small issue," and he brushes it aside. But then she suddenly, one day, she decides to kill her boss. She goes to the toilet and she finds the acid over there for the toilet as a toilet cleaner. She puts it into the water bottle, places it on the table, and nobody can guess it. And suddenly, that toilet maid, she comes to clean, and there's a noise that something has disappeared. The man appears in the office, he drinks it, and he's no more. So I
What happens after that? You can only
Yeah.
speculate.
Yeah, actually, I have left that open-ended. It is up
Hmm.
to readers to guess what
Yeah.
happens. In fact, somebody asked me, "Did she really kill?" I said, "Okay, it's up to you. Whatever you want to think."
Hmm.
yeah. So because she has been pushed to a particular
Yes,
edge, she wanted to look after her child. She wanted to spend a bit of time with the child. She didn't want to be harassed in the office. And nobody is helping her out. The husband is not helping. The other people who are watching in the office are
This happens is
telling
we hear
they are
such
not
stories
helping
often.
her out. Afraid she cannot see out. So one fine day she takes the step and goes home. Yeah. So it was an extreme story, but still, it will motivate a common woman not to kill her boss, but
yeah,
at least to stand up and speak about it and
yes.
say that otherwise I can go to an extreme also if she is pushed that hard.
Meanwhile, all the people who are logged in, I would like to say that in case they want to put in any comment, suggestion, or question, they can do that now. Or if they want to come onto the screen and take part in the discussion and ask questions related to the art of storytelling or anything else that is related, well, you can switch on your videos and come onto the screen, right? Okay, Sujata, what are you working on now?
I have three manuscripts simultaneously. I'm working.
Three,
Yeah,
wow.
That's
together.
great.
Tell us.
Yes, one is actually a murder mystery, and one is a story about sibling rivalry and the relationship between adult children and elderly parents. That what happens when uh, parents are old. They are become like children don't need them, but when they have grandchildren, they again need their parents. So it's something on that. And there's another plot which is about when people get lot of money, uh, the family, how family dynamics change because they don't know how to use the money. So it is about that. And generally I don't mind switching between one plot to another. And
Mhm.
I don't.
And this murder mystery, is it about
Which
a
one?
boss being murdered? Is it about a boss that's going to be murdered?
No, these are all family. There are all family stories.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So
very
anybody who'd
interesting.
like
And
to,
most of the negative characters we're talking about.
Yes.
it's always the negative characters, who make the
Yeah,
stories more interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
exactly.
But in real life, we want all good characters. In real life, we don't want negative characters around
Yes.
us.
Uh,
Mhm.
At
What
least
kind
in
of
the
books did
family,
you
you
enjoy
want good
reading?
characters.
Yes.
In real life, what?
I don't know. I said
Um,
in real life, we want good characters. But in stories, we want negative characters.
Would you agree to that, Alka?
and Sujata, do we ever think that whether we are ourselves a negative character or a positive character?
I think we all are mixed. We cannot say I am all good and I have no shade of gray in me. It's, I think, or I am all bad. There is nothing good in me. So I have seen with people who are,
Have you written any character in which you you have shades of yourself?
I think many characters, I think we say most of the stories that we write, they are in some way autobiographical because we become the character. So if
Yes.
either I'm in that situation, if I'm not in that situation, then I put myself, suppose I'm in that situation, how I will react. So there are, I think, many of the stories that are right, many of the characters, they
That leads to a related question. Tell me how much of you as a person gets into your stories.
are a lot, but I'm trying to wean. I think I should not write as a writer. The character should not be writer. Character should be different character. So I have to make an effort to pull myself apart from the character. So it is becomes sometimes it becomes a little challenging that I should not write the way I think should be done. I have to get into the head of the character and I have to think how he or she
But
will.
what about your own experiences? Do they come into your writing?
Yes, they definitely do. They definitely do.
Your likes and dislikes?
Yes, they also come, and in fact, in the my first book, it's about my main character Leela. She wants to become a radio jockey. So somebody asked me that why did you choose this radio jockey? Why not something else? I said because I personally feel that I don't have a good voice, and so I wanted somebody who has a very nice voice. So a part of me,
Okay.
because I didn't like
Uh,
that, I thought my voice is not good, and I wanted somebody, a character whose voice is very good, and she wants to become a radio jockey. So I think how much ever you try, a part of it comes.
And sometimes it's wishful thinking.
It's
As you
wishful
say,
thinking.
it's wishful
Exactly,
thinking.
you
Yeah.
said it right.
Because
yeah.
Wishful
because
thinking.
I realize that I have created characters who can paint very well. And that's
Okay.
because I myself don't know how to paint or draw.
How,
Hmm?
how
Yeah.
to paint?
So
So
it's you, through your characters, you live a life that you would
we
like
live a
to.
life. We fulfill our wishes through
Exactly.
our characters.
Mhm. Mhm.
Even when you murder a boss.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. In
great.
these stories, Sujata, in these stories you have written about a variety of characters.
Yeah.
Would you like to tell me which is your favorite story out of this?
I think all are, I like all
They
stories. But
all are your babies, but still,
yes,
or some character which is very close to your heart out of
I
all the
think
stories.
that story, Two Scoops of Chocolate Mousse, where a girl that is, I
Okay.
think, the 10th story. So here there's a lot of body
Yeah.
shaming
Body
happening.
shaming.
Her boyfriend tells her she's fat and she's like this, and
Yes.
ultimately she evolves as a character and she feels, okay, I'm not going to take it anymore, and because though I love him, but I love myself
Yes.
more than I love him. So self love is more important than the love for the other person. So I think I enjoyed writing that. I think that
There's
was
a question that's come in, and
yes.
Shruti, would you like to come onto the screen? Shruti Sharma,
Yes.
would you like to come onto the screen?
And
Shruti wants to know, yeah. Shruti,
Yes,
why don't you ask the question yourself?
yes, Shruti.
Unmute, unmute, my dear.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yes.
Hi, Shruti.
Good evening. My question is, who is your favorite writer and what influences you in other writers' works? How do you view other writers' works and what inspires you?
Okay, now two
Thank you.
writers I admire. One is Manju Kapoor. I really admire
Oh,
her.
I was hoping you would say Manju Jaidka.
that's
I
great.
would be on top of the
Of
world.
course, I admire her work. So I have read all her stories, her novels, her custody and brothers and difficult
Mhm.
daughters. So I really admire her work because I feel
Yes.
she is very vivid. Whenever I have read her novel, I feel I have lived the life of characters. So her storytelling style
Yeah.
is really good, and whenever I read her book, I read it not once, twice, thrice, thrice to understand more of it. So that is one writer I admire. And Khalid Hosseini, of course, everyone likes. And his book, A Thousand Splendid Suns, I must have read it 15, 20 times. Because it is not just the story. I think in everything, it is not just the story, it is the treatment. So like, if somebody tells me this book is not good, I also like to read that book because then I understand what I should not be doing when I am writing, because I read a few books and I found that the words were so difficult, vocabulary was so difficult that it was breaking my flow. So
Yes.
I understand that we should not be using difficult words which people have to look at dictionary, so that their flow is
Yeah.
broken. Or if some author has expressed emotions very well, then I try to read again and again to understand how to
Yeah.
express emotions in as few words as possible. So I hope, Shruti, I
But
have
you
answered
know,
the question.
sometimes writers they use the big words, but when it comes to when they write the works as such, the fiction,
Yeah,
then um, it comes across very nicely. For instance, our favorite Shashi Tharoor, who
yeah.
is at present leading a delegation,
Yeah.
doing a lot of important work. Nobody
Yes.
can beat his vocabulary, and
Wow.
yet when he writes,
Yes.
he would put all the other writers that you've
Yes,
mentioned, he would put them all to shame.
exactly, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
So
Uh,
there is a lot to learn from, good writers.
no,
Shashi
he's
Tharoor.
really fantastic. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So, can I request all the people who've logged in to come on to the screen so that we can see each other? It's nice to close, when we see
Yes.
everybody. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh,
Hi, Debarati. And there's Amandeep. And
Yes,
here's
ma'am.
Roshan.
Hi, ma'am.
Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening to everyone. Good evening.
Hello, ma'am
You're still in your
Sujata.
office. You're still
Yes,
in
yes.
your office, Roshan.
I'm in my office, ma'am. Yes.
My God.
I feel very comfortable here. Very comfortable here.
He's picking up
I'm
experience which
scared
will
of
go into
logging
his
in from
books.
my home.
Okay. And I must tell you all that, we recently brought out this encyclopedia We are digressing a little from Sujata Rajpal right now. But Sujata, we brought out this encyclopedia which came out just 2 days ago. This is the Encyclopedia of Diasporic Indian English Writing. And well, we are going to, let's have a session on that next time. What do you say, Roshan? Huh? And there are
Yeah, I
some
think that'll
contributors
be
who are
wonderful.
behind the scenes. Yeah, we're going to have a session on that also. So there's something to look forward to. But in any case, coming back to today's session, any observations, anything that you'd like to say or add, other than, that you enjoyed the session with Sujata Rajpal and loved hearing about her works also. And you must try and get hold of her book,
Yeah,
Things Left Unsaid.
ma'am, may I just a little, just a little, I not, I mean, just a small comment, ma'am Sujata.
Yes, please.
You said in real life, we want good characters. When it comes to fiction,
Yeah,
we tend to resort to negative
yeah.
or bad or evil characters. That actually baffled me. I mean, well, we can certainly make our choices in life,
Hmm.
but more often than not, life also becomes, at times stranger than fiction. It does.
True.
Don't you think so?
Exactly. Exactly. That's true.
And frankly, I would not like to be a good character. I would like to be Medusa, maybe.
Mhm.
Snakes in my head.
And another thing, ma'am, this
Yeah.
this this unsaid basically, this
Yeah.
rings really powerfully and strongly because all of us, in fact, are so much unsaid, so much unsaid. What we pretend to articulate actually just it pales into insignificance,
Yeah.
when we start gauging as to how much is there inside. And when it comes to a creative writer, I suppose, a creative writer constantly, grapples
Yeah.
with that unsaid because she or he has to, make it or articulate it in a way that others can also, find some way, some kind of device, to deal with
Deal.
what's there within them. Okay, that we term as at times unsaid, at times unsayable.
Right.
And of course, if we psychologize it further, something that remains repressed. We want to say it always, yet we cannot. So your title is your title is interesting. How I look at your title, ma'am, is that what it implies is that okay, fine, there are things that are unsaid and as if they have been volitionally and willfully left unsaid. I'd love to read your stories, though.
Please.
Certainly.
I'll get a
At
copy
another
for
level,
you.
this title
I'll
really.
I'll get a copy for you, Roshan.
Oh,
I have it with
thank
me
you,
and I
ma'am.
quite
And
enjoyed it.
yes, and another
Yes.
another way of looking at this title, I don't know which one is true. Of course, I'd like to go through the stories. Is one is things volitionally left unsaid, and another is that I've in fact, negotiated things that
Yeah.
are usually left unsaid. So
Yes.
it's really it's evocative and pretty inviting. Thank you, Madam
Thank
Sujata
you.
Rajpal.
Thank you so much. Thank
And
you.
thank you, ma'am. Alka Kansra.
My pleasure,
Thank you.
sir. My pleasure, sir. My pleasure.
Yes, ma'am,
There's a-
chemistry. And
Mm,
Yeah.
and when it
there's-
comes to chemistry moving into literature, basically, we say, it can always, we say alchemizes it. I don't know. The expression is within single quotes,
Yes.
though. But it's
it
Yes.
chemistry moving
alchemizes
into
it.
literature.
So
It
from chemist, I've
alchemizes it.
turned into an alchemist. From a
Exactly.
chemist to an
So that's
alchemist, you can say.
yeah. So
Uh,
that's really nice to hear, ma'am, coming from chemistry into literature. That's wonderful. Thank
Sujata,
you.
there are
Yes.
two comments that have come in. One I've directed to you.
Okay.
It's from
Oh, thank you
Bipasha.
so
Could
much,
you
sir.
please
Okay.
describe your writing? Yeah.
Writing process. Yeah. So this is that, ideas keep coming, and or some observation, so which I keep writing. And then I decide that, okay, I want to write something which has really impacted me. I decide to write a story on that, and if there's a more thing to write, then I convert it into a full length novel. But it is not that, okay, I will write whenever some idea comes. Ideas, because since I'm a full time writer, ideas have to keep coming. Ideas have to come. So even if there is nothing in my mind, I think of something and I start, because it is a full-time profession now. I hope I have answered the question.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you.
There's one more comment that's come from Devarati.
Yes. I think writing.
Wait. She says, I continue to think of writing fiction as deeply therapeutic for the writer herself, even cathartic. So I think you would agree with that.
Yes,
it
definitely.
is cathartic, it is therapeutic.
Yes.
And it is wishful thinking also.
It is an outlet for our own emotions. Definitely.
Right, we need to close now. I think we had a very interesting session, and I don't know if you enjoyed it, Sujata, but
thank you so
I
much.
quite enjoyed talking to you.
It's
yeah,
really nice.
And Alka, are you still there? Alka, come back to the screen to say a bye to all our listeners. Roshan and the others also.
I don't know,
if you can
something's
come
gone
to the...
wrong with.
Okay.
We can hear you, but we can't see you.
Yeah. And there is Khagendra Acharya, who is logged in from Nepal.
But I think he's been reading about it on and looking about it at the Facebook on your Facebook. So now I'm on the show, so I'm really feel privileged that way. I really feel
it's really nice. Thank you, Manju, for inviting me. It was
that you have given me this opportunity, and it was a pleasure talking to Sujata, reading her stories too.
Khagendra has logged in from Nepal. You can see him on the screen. Thank you, Khagendra, for joining us.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed the session.
Thank you.
And we'll meet again maybe 2 weeks later. And well, thank you once again, Sujata, Alka, all the people who've logged in.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Khagendra, Roshan, Bipasha, and the people behind the scenes.
Thank you, ma'am.
We
Thank
meet
you very
again.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Debarati, thanks for your comments. Yeah. And we meet again in 2 weeks' time. Perhaps we will talk, Mr. Gulati. Thank you, Mr. Gulati, for joining us. We meet in 2 weeks' time, and we will probably be talking about the encyclopedia that we have just brought out. We will bring together some contributors who have written for the encyclopedia, and we'll talk about it, right? Until then, bye and have a great evening. Bye-bye.